What's up everyone, me JP2 here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Galarian Zapdos in the Catch Cup. Now the Catch Cup is just not fun, mostly because it just encourages people to build the same meta Pokemon, so in the end you'll just end up with like a bunch of extra meta Chams and stuff, so it's just not fun. However, I actually got a Galarian Zapdos this season. It was my first one, and I was actually able to build it for the Catch Cup. So I figured I might as well, because the Catch Cup has just been basically Quagsire and Clodsire just everywhere. And Galarian Zapdos does pretty well into them. So this Pokemon is a lot of fun, and also, since it's a counter user, most normal types don't do well against it either. Now to round out the team, I paired it up with Meowscarada and Gengar, because those are like two of the three other Pokemon that I built, the other one being the Shadow Haunter. So I basically had very limited options. That's why this team has quite a few Pokemon that it doesn't do too well into, mainly Gligar and Gliscor. So this team was fun to use, but I would not recommend it for climbing, even in the Catch Cup. Anyways, that's about it. Let's get into the battles. Alright, so in the first battle we lead Meowscarada into Clodsire. This is a not good lead because Clodsire just outbulks Meowscarada and is a poison type. So we're going to switch into Gengar. The opponent brings in Medicham and doesn't even farm to a Psychic. And Gengar, it is pretty darn glassy, but it does at least tank an Ice Punch. Now we make it to back-to-back Shadow Punches, although it is on CMP, and the opponent just lets the move through, and then they bring in Lantern. Now I was running Focus Blast on Gengar because I saw quite a few Umbreons, but even when it's neutral, still does quite a lot, obviously. And so the opponent does bring in the Clodsire afterwards, and we can go for a Night Slash. And Night Slash won't be doing too much, but we actually do end up getting a shield. Now my main plan is to just try and farm up as much as possible and maybe catch an Earthquake or something onto Zapdos. But the opponent doesn't throw. But that's alright. We have two shields, and they're not farming down Zapdos with Poison Sting. They can go for a Stone Edge, and it doesn't really matter. And I decide to farm up a lot. They make it to another move. And at this point, I do realize, hey, wait a minute, I could get farmed down here if I go for a Brave Bird. So I actually decide to bait. So this is a pretty darn risky bait, because I might lose, but they do shield it, and we have the Brave Bird. So this is GG, as Brave Bird takes out the Clodsire, and we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Scolipede. That is not something you see every day, but it still does really well into Meowscarada, so I have to switch into Gengar. The opponent farms up quite a bit, and then they switch into Duat. Now the thing about that is that give us a lot of energy, so while we do end up having to shield because it was a CMP tie, we should be able to get off 3 Shadow Punches, just barely, but so they're going to shield the second Shadow Punch. But since my Gengar is pretty high rank, it is able to live and make it to a Shadow Punch. So Shadow Punch doesn't take out the Duat, but we can bring in Zapdos, get the KO with 1 counter, and the opponent brings in Surfetched. Now, this just means Zapdos is going to clean up the endgame, because Scolipede dies to a single Ancient Power, I think. And we can just shield whatever move they throw. It doesn't matter if it's Leaf Blade or Night Slash. I don't care. I was shielding. And they bring back in the Scolipede. And Ancient Power from a Pokemon like Galarian Zapdos will take out the Scolipede. And we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Quagsire. Extremely good lead. So the opponent is going to switch into Gligar. I don't really have a good answer to Gligar. It is one of the, relatively core breakers for this team, so I just switch into Zapdos. It was definitely a better play to switch into Gengar, but the opponent ends up going for a Dig. The only explanation I have for this is it's a single move Gligar that the opponent wasn't really gonna want to build for the Catch Cup, but so they're gonna go for another move, and if this is another Dig, then it's pretty obvious this is a single move Gligar. So I probably should have brought in Meowscarada if it was going to be resisted with all the digs, but I decide to bring in Gengar because energy on Gengar and even shields is pretty darn good. The opponent brings back in the Quagsire. At this point, I just decide I want a shield or I want this Quagsire gone. They shield, I switch back into Meowscarada, and now with an energy advantage and a shield advantage, Meowscarada should be able to defeat whatever they have in the back. In the back, they have Dedenne, and that's not bad, but it does live a Play Rough, unfortunately. So we can go for a Play Rough, but Play Rough will not take them out. And they have a Play Rough here. They have to go for it because Discharge won't KO. So Meowscarada gets destroyed by Play Rough, but Gengar has enough HP to make it to a Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch will easily take out the Quagsire from this range. After a bit of lag, looks like the opponent force quit the app, but we take out the Quagsire and we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Arboliva. I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing that right. This is the first time I've ever seen this Pokemon. Doesn't matter, though, because Meowscarada easily outpaces them, and we'll be able to make it to a Night Slash. Night Slash not going to be threatening a shield, because they're not going to get farmed down by Leafage, but the opponent goes for a Seed Bomb, so it looks like they don't have anything better to hit my Meowscarada with. They then bring in Salazzle, and I'm very impressed by this Spice, but at the same time, it's actually pretty bad because they can just go Poison Fang after Poison Fang, and I think this Incinerate will KO my Gengar. So, well, we get Zapdos a shield advantage. I have to give that shield right back because they have a Dragon Pulse, and that would probably almost take out my Zapdos, but I do get the farm down. So now even shields and up energy, Galarian Zapdos should be set. So we can go for an Ancient Power. This will pretty obviously get a shield from Shadow Haunter, and the opponent tries to catch on the Arboliva. I switch into Meowscarada, go for the Night Slash. Ancient Power would have KO'd anyways, but if the Haunter had a move, I wanted to catch it just for the disrespect. We take that game. Hopping in the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Gliscor. Once again, pretty bad Pokemon, and they're running Fury Cutter. That's really bad for Meowscarada, but really good for both my Zapdos and my Gengar, because both of them resist Fury Cutter. The opponent goes for a move, I think that was a Night Slash, and they switch into Clodsire. Now I go for the Ancient Power and I get the shield. No boost, unfortunately. I did not get many Ancient Power boosts during this. It was kind of disappointing. But now, since we have gotten their shield, I feel comfortable shielding as well. And now I should be able to make it to like high enough energy to get to 2 Brave Birds. So even if they shield this one, they're going to get KO'd by the next one. So I go for that Brave Bird, and then I switch into Meowscarada because of the slight switch timer desync. And now I can go for a Night Slash into the Gliscor. Night Slash actually does grab a shield, and they still do have to go for a move to take me out. And they make it to a Night Slash. They throw on perfect timing. However, Meowscarada isn't that glassy, so we actually do live the Night Slash and make it to one of our own. And it doesn't take out the Gliscor, but we get a farm down, and that farm down is going to let us Focus Blast this Aurorus. Now, Aurorus, pretty bulky, would probably even live a Shadow Ball, but double super effective Focus Blast, no, this thing is getting wiped off the planet. Go back to your prehistoric times. Anyways, next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Gligar. Once again, I was seeing a stupid amount of these things. Anyways, we go for a Night Slash on CMP. This Gligar, I do think, went straight for the Aerial Ace, and it was a CMP tie. Now, I don't really care. I just let Meowscarada go. But this does present a massive farming opportunity for Gengar. Now, I can shield this Aerial Ace, and I'm going to try and farm up, and the opponent switches into Greedent, and I don't think they know. And Focus Blast, bye-bye Greedent, gets completely one-shot from full HP. In the back, they have Mamoswine, and we can go for counters with Galarian Zapdos, and they can go for an Avalanche, but we have a shield, so Zapdos is chilling. So now, their Gligar's way too low. Even if they make it to a move, Gengar still has enough HP to farm it down. So they can go for a move, Zapdos gets taken out, but Gengar, one Shadow Claw, takes out the Gligar. We take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Electros. This is a pretty good lead for Meowscarada because we resist Spark. But then the opponent switches into Toxicroak, and I do make the slight misplay of swapping into Zapdos instead of Gengar. I don't know why I did this. I think I, clicked to the wrong one. But it's fine. Zapdos can make it to Ancient Powers, and this first Ancient Power will get a shield. And we have a second one, and Zapdos does win CMP. So we can go for the second Ancient Power, and we actually get a boost, which is that's amazing, because that means that we'll easily be able to farm down this Toxicroak, and we can leave with maybe enough energy to make it to a move. The opponent brings in a Talonflame, and they're running Fire Spin, and with a defense boost, we make it to another Ancient Power, and Ancient Power vanquishes the Talonflame. They bring back an Electros, but it's way too little, way too late. We can make it to a Night Slash, and even if they make it to a move that'll take out Meowscarada, Gengar will just delete the Electros. So they go for a Dragon Claw. Still does a substantial amount of damage. They actually even end up getting a farm down, but one Shadow Claw from Gengar finishes the job, and we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Quagsire. The Catch Cup's infested with the things. Then the opponent switches into Charjabug. Now, Charjabug is not the best for this team, because it does well in Meowscarada and Zapdos, and Gengar is just so glassy that it just doesn't do too well either. We make it to plenty of Shadow Punches, though, And I could have thrown on CMP there, but if they had chosen to overfarm, then I probably would have not had enough energy to take out the Charge Bug. Now, at this point, I have back-to-back Shadow Punches, but I do think they're 1-volt switch off. So I throw one Shadow Claw and go for the Shadow Punch before the damage can register. Now, I'm way too low to make it to another move. Actually, I do. I forget how high ranked my Gengar is. This is a very good Gengar. We make it to one Shadow Punch. Doesn't do too much to the Quagsire, but we bring in Meowscarada, and I guess they didn't want to see that, so they concede the match. Anyways, next battle, Meowscarada and Girafarig. This Girafarig is running Confusion, and that's even better. Now, I'm not throwing immediately. I want to see if they go for a Psychic Fangs right away, and they do. And they switch into Gligar. Now, once again, Gligar, problem spot for this team. So, I bring in Gengar, and I have to shield the move. And they go for a Dig, which is perfect because I would not live in Aerial Ace. Well, I would barely live in Aerial Ace. It would just put me into Wing Attack farm down range, and that's not ideal. But we make it to back-to-back Shadow Punches, and the Gengar is going to end up making it to that Shadow Punch. And so they let the second one go through. But at this point, I'm just fine with double shielding and getting the farm down. Now, the opponent is going to bring back in the Girafarig, and I'm not making it to a Focus Blast. That one Confusion did so much damage. They rightfully don't shield the Shadow Punch, but we have plenty of energy on Meowscarada. They shield the first Night Slash, but Meowscarada wins CMP. And winning CMP lets us take out the Girafarig. In the back, they have Alomomola, and I switch into Zapdos after banking a Night Slash. And the Alomomola, even if they made it to like a move, unless it's Psychic, I don't even think it would take out Zapdos. But we make it to a Brave Bird. Brave Bird destroys Alomomola, and we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada and Charjabug. I throw one Leafage, then switch into Gengar, and the opponent stays in and is going for a move. Now, Discharge would do a lot of damage to Gengar. It might actually take it out, but they go for an X-Scissor. I guess that's how confident they were I'm going to shield, because X-Scissor and Discharge are the same energy, I think, after the season's changes. But, so they're going for another move. They go for another X-Scissor. So I have no idea what their second move would be, because they'd either want to go for Discharge as their second move, because that would be neutral, or Crunch, because that would be super effective. But the opponent does get a farm down, and that's pretty bad. I switch into Meowscarada, and I was going to try and switch into Zapdos, catch the X-Scissor, but the opponent blind threw a Discharge, so I'm really confused as to why they didn't throw a Discharge into my Gengar. But whatever. You make it to a Night Slash will take them out, and in the back they have Quaxwell. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't really care anyways. We can go for a Night Slash. We did win CMP. And they're going to go for an Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will be taking out my Meowscarada. But this gives Zapdos 3 extra counters of energy. And they have a Lantern in the back. And that's just not going to win. Now, I probably should have just gone for the back-to-back Ancient Powers. That was a bit of a misplay. But I don't even think that I'd be able to make it to the back-to-back, because I was still 2 counters off, and Surf will take out Zapdos. So we do lose that game. Anyways, hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Charjabug. These things were also everywhere. It's like, it was all Community Day Pokemon, pretty much. And so, I switch into Zapdos, and this Charjabug's running Spark, which is pretty surprising. I switch into Zapdos, catch the X-Scissor, and they will outpace me to a Discharge. This is unfortunate, but they actually don't throw it. And Ancient Power should get the KO if they don't shield, so we do get the shield. And at that point, I'm happy with that. Giving Gengar a shield advantage is probably the best I can do. Discharge destroys Zapdos, and I'm going to probably bring in Gengar, and I do. And I can probably just go for a farm down now. But the opponent switches into Umbreon, and we get outpaced right before we make it to the Focus Blast. And I really didn't want this, because the shield clues them into the fact that I'm running Focus Blast. But the Umbreon doesn't respect it. And look at that. We farm him down with Shadow Claw. This is why I love Focus Blast. In the back, they have Quagsire, and that just spells GG, because Meowscarada is going to, even if these Night Slashes don't take him out, the Leafages will be able to as well. So, they shield the first one, but they are out of shields now. Night Slash barely doesn't KO, but I can just commit a shield. I don't care what move it is. They go for an Aqua Tail, and they have another move, but if they threw an Aqua Tail, it's pretty obvious that they're just going for another one. So, no worries there. They bring back in the Charjabug. Meowscarada actually does win CMP there. And Night Slash takes out the Charjabug. We take that game. Hopping to the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into yet again another Charjabug. It's just, why? Anyways, they switch into Skeledirge, which is honestly kind of surprising, because that's a pretty dominating matchup for Charjabug. I don't know if they're like trying to bait out the Ghost counter or something, but what they did here is give my Gengar an opportunity to get a lot of farm by throwing. So now I will be able to farm him down, and leave with a lot of energy. Now, the Pokemon that they bring in is going to be Gligar, actually, and they concede the match. I have no idea why they did that, but they did. Anyways, next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Lickitung. Now, I'm going to go straight for the Night Slash because I don't want to delay in fishing for boosts, because boosts are like one of the best ways for Meowscarada to win this battle. And the Lickitung is going to throw a move. They go for a Stomp, so it's pretty darn obvious that someone didn't have any Elite TMs. But judging by Meowscarada's health, we should be able to make it to one more Night Slash after this. We actually do grab a shield. Now, at this point, giving Zapdos a shield advantage, that's just fine by me. So I'm going to bring in Zapdos, and they bring in Skarmory. Now, all of a sudden, that's not good, because that Lickitung's still left with enough HP that a Shadow Punch can't take him out. So all of a sudden, this isn't too good, because I will be able to take out the Skarmory with my Shadow Punches. And sorry, I just farmed him down, actually. But they can bring in the Lickitung after this, and Lickitung just double resists this stuff. I didn't want to throw a Focus Blast, because I didn't want to waste all my energy, but Shadow Punch doesn't take him out, so I have to throw another one. Now, I'm way too low to make it to a third Shadow Punch, so I just switch into a Zapdos immediately. And in the back, they have Shiftry. So, this game just came down to Zapdos just hard countering their last Pokemon. But that's alright. I do shield this, because if that was a Hurricane, I'd be really embarrassed. But it was just safer to shield, so I take that game. Anyways, hopping to the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Pelipper. Finally, something besides Charger Bug, kind of refreshing. And we're going to go for a Night Slash right off the bat. Now, Pelipper still does pretty good into my team, but we can actually get a boost from the Night Slash here. And I decided to shield this move. I thought that since I was boosted, they might be more likely to go for a Hurricane. But then, now that they are only having a Weather Ball, I'm like, hey, I might be able to tank this. Nope. And it's fine, though. We're down a shield, and the opponent brings in Galarian Stunfisk. So, this is not the best, but Zapdos does at least tank a Rock Slide. Now, they go for the Rock Slide. It does quite a bit of damage. My Zapdos is, I think it's rank 999. Like, seriously, it's rank 999. It's not the best, but this is the only one I have, so I just had to deal with it. We go for the Brave Bird, they shield it, and we actually do get a full farm down. Now, because I'm low, I'm going to switch out, and in the back they have Umbreon, and I was just praying that they'd overfarm here, but they just throw right away, and Dark Pulse will take out my Gengar, and Zapdos just doesn't have enough HP here. We can make it to an Ancient Power, but unless they decide to overfarm for whatever reason, they're just going to be able to make it to a Dark Pulse. An Ancient Power wouldn't have taken him out, so there was no point in throwing it. And we do lose that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Hisuian Arcanine. If they're running Fire Fang, we're screwed, but they're running Snarl. So now we're actually going to be able to outpace them. And Night Slash will probably not take him out, but we get a shield anyways. And that's perfect because now combined with the extra leafage damage we're going to get, Night Slash should be threatening. Now, I'm trying to throw on his best possible timing, because that does determine who wins the matchup. We go for another Night Slash. They shield again. At this point, I'm thinking I can live a Rock Slide. Not very well, but we actually do not get the new mechanic. And the opponent doesn't throw a move into Zapdos. I don't know if they had enough energy or they didn't react in time. But they bring in Bombardier. The Bombardier is running Rock Throw, which is nice because we're taking a bit less damage from the fast moves. But since Zapdos learns Ancient Power, the Bombardier gets destroyed. They have a Lantern in the back, and it's just Focus Blast time. Shadow Ball would be preferable, but I like Focus Blast just because the fighting type move is fun to use. We can farm up to the Focus Blast, go for it, it'll take out the Lantern, and we'll take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Oinkologne. This is, once again, another matchup that just gets determined by bulk. So, we're going to go for a Night Slash. The opponent has no reason to shield this, and they don't. But hopefully, my Meowscarada can live Body Slam. And while Meowscarada is glassy, it actually does. And we do make it to another Night Slash. They still don't have to shield this, though. And I switch into Zapdos and immediately get the counter farm down, just trying to get as much extra energy as possible. Now, I'm going to farm up and go for a Brave Bird, because this will do more damage than an Ancient Power, and it debuffs my defense, so it gives them less farm if they go for a farm down. Now, they do shield it, but that just gives Gengar a shield advantage. And I was just thinking, I'm going to farm down here. They can't stop me. I have 2 shields for Gengar to hide behind, and so I can hopefully just get the farm down, Shadow Punch, bait whatever they have in the back, and we'll be fine. Now I get the farm down, and in the back they have Lickitung, and I'm thinking, they're probably going to shield this considering how much energy I have, but they don't shield it. So now I'm going to go for the Focus Blast, and hopefully they think I have Shadow Ball, but they don't. They shield it, I switch into Meowscarada trying to get a catch, doesn't matter. We're just going to get lick farmed down or get hit with the Body Slam, and we do lose that game. Anyways, hopping into the next battle, we lead Meowscarada into Raichu. If they're running Charm, this is terrible, but they're running Volt Switch, so this is good because we will outpace them. Now, they can live a Night Slash, but Raichu is fairly classy, so I expected them to shield, but they didn't. And if they're running Brick Break, that might take out Meowscarada, but they go for a Wild Charge, and honestly, that probably did more damage than a Brick Break would do. In the back, they have Charizard, and this is not ideal because Zapdos doesn't do well into Charizard, so hopefully I can just go for the 2-shield matchup against Charizard and hope the Shadow Claw damage just does enough. The Charizard rightfully goes for a Dragon Claw because there's no point in Blast Burning a Gengar if it dies to a Dragon Claw. But they can go for another Dragon Claw, and I'm just trying to get as much Shadow Claw damage as possible. Now, we do win the CMP tie, so this actually just gets let go by the Charizard. And in the back, they have Jellicent. Now, I hope they shield this, because now that they did shield it, while we do get farmed down, Zapdos doesn't die to a Shadow Ball. It's not that glassy, albeit it is pretty glassy. They go for a Shadow Ball. It does do a lot of damage, but we are able to make it to a Brave Bird. And does this KO? Jellicent's pretty bulky, but Brave Bird still does take him out, and we take that game. Hopping into what I believe is the final battle, we lead Meowscarada into Gliscor. Once again, this is a pretty bad matchup, but Meowscarada at least does win CMP. So we can go for a Night Slash. Night Slash gets shielded. You just don't see the animation because, I don't know, honestly. The opponent goes for a Sand Tomb, probably expecting the shield. But we're actually going to be able to make it to another Night Slash because of that. Now, Night Slash will not get shielded, but does enough damage. And now, I'm just expecting they're running Aerial Ace and Sand Tomb, but they're actually running Night Slash, and that does a ton of damage to Gengar. Now, we can shield this move. I want to maybe have like enough energy to throw into whatever they bring in. But they have Meowscarada in the back, and so I have to switch into Zapdos, and they have Clodsire in the back. This is entirely determined by Clodsire's moveset. If they're running anything besides Mega Horn plus Earthquake, we lose. So we can no-shield the first move, because nothing will actually KO Zapdos, but they are going for a Mega Horn, so that clues me into the fact that they have Mega Horn and Earthquake. So we no-shield that. They do have an Earthquake, and that just spells out GG because Zapdos should be able to go for a Brave Bird, take him out, and they can bring back in the Meowscarada, and we'll be able to go for an Ancient Power, and that takes out the Meowscarada. And we take that game. All in all, Zapdos was very refreshing to run it in the Catch Cup because the Catch Cup is quite boring nowadays just because all you see is Community Day Pokemon, like whether it's Quagsire, Clodsire, Chargebug. They're just all basically Community Day Pokemon. So running something with like Galarian Zapdos is a lot of fun, especially because its unique typing also does pay quite a few dividends. So I was very happy to have been able to run it. Focus Blast Gengar also was very impressive, with it one-shotting a Greedent and annihilating an Umbreon, so I was happy to have run that. And Meowscarada also did well. So I was overall extremely happy with how this team performed. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.